Well, so welcome. So I am so excited all of you are here. Some of you are members of the Guild, and some of you maybe, and I haven't met you yet. My name is Katie Bulova, and today Karen Krieger and Laura Tabachman and I will be talking about their new Grow Grant. We're really excited about it. We've been developing it since the fall. And so if some of you are new, I want to give you a little information about the Fiber Arts Guild. And for those of you who have been long-term members, please try, please try not to jump in and tell me, because I know that there's a lot of rich history in the Guild, but the Guild has been around in some form or another since 1963, and we are responsible for a lot of community projects, which is wonderful, including this past summer's Fiber Art International and Knit the Bridge, which was done about 7 or 8 years ago. The Guild is committed to the community and community outreach and building the fiber arts presence in our community. And that is sort of the basis of the grant. We are trying to promote fiber art in our area, and we're trying to lift up both the fiber artists and the fiber art itself. So we're giving you a platform today, hopefully 2 of you in this call or 2 of you who you can recommend this grant to. The $500 can go a long way to building our community. So I'm going to turn it over to Karen. She's going to talk a little bit about the grants.
All right. Am I getting spotlit?
Yes.
I do not need to be spotlit.
Well, but
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
So my blurry background did not work, so you get to see everything in my house. So I'm going to go through this pretty quickly because most of this information is available and out there, and we want to be sure to have time for specific questions. So the process is pretty straightforward, and we tried very hard to make it easy and accessible. The application is on our website, and you can find it if you just go on to the Fiber Arts Guild of Pittsburgh website. So the first thing that we want you to tell us is just a description of your project, and please don't make it lengthy. We have 3 fabulous jurors who I'll talk about very briefly in a minute, but it's just, a sentence or 2. I am requesting this money because this is what I would like to do with it. I'd like to go on I'd like to go to a conference. I'd like to take a class. I'd like to hire someone to help me frame my work. I'd like to, whatever it is. But very simple. We are not looking for a lot of art speak about how the project is going to change the world. It might change the world, but what we're really after is just what specifically do you want to do with your project. And part of that is coming up with some sort of shared outcome that tells us how other people can kind of access what you are doing. Are you going to give a lecture? Are you going to keep a little journal? Are you going to have a meeting where with kids who are going to interact with it, whatever it is, just something that is available for the community to engage. And we're happy to sort of help out with ideas if you are having trouble coming up with something. And again, don't belabor it. It doesn't have to be something that is huge. It's just some way to share a little bit about what you have done with the grant. The budget, it might be 1 line, cost of course. It might be much more elaborate because this might be part of something bigger, and that's fine. But we are asking for a budget, and again, if you need help with that, we are around to help you figure that out and maybe think of some things you haven't thought about. And then a statement about the artistic, your background. Again, a couple sentences, who you are, what makes you tick, what you're interested in. If you're not used to fiber and this is your first foray into fiber, why fiber? If you have been working in fiber for a long time, tell us something about that. One of the things that the jurors are going to be looking for is how does your project bring you personal growth or artistic growth? And that's really the sort of the big word for this, looking at the growth in the proposed project. So be sure to include that in some place in your application. And then the last bit is samples of your work. We're asking for 5 images, links to whatever you might have up for social media. And the application, you can just then submit it right through the website. As I said before, I think that's pretty much it. It's pretty straightforward. I'm going to just briefly tell you that we have 3 jurors. They're all pretty new members of the Fiber Arts Guild. None of them are board members. They have very graciously offered to be our jurors. They are artists in their own right. We have some educators, some people who have done a fair amount of community outreach, sort of as diverse a group as we could find. And we're really hoping that we will sort of broaden our reach with what we get with these applications.
Want to say something, speak word about Monday.
And I'll just add that in the chat is all the information. The deadline is March 13th. There's the link to the application, and then a bunch of information if you haven't looked at it already.
Right. Karen, should we have Laura walk through the process now?
Sure.
Okay, let me remove your spotlight and share my screen then. This is, as Karen said, I already put all the links you need on the chat. But here's the website and here's the application. You have there's a PDF with all the information that I already put in the chat also, but it's here that you can download. All the information that we talked is here. So when you go to the bottom, here's where you fill out the information. You can see what's required and what's not. This is your personal information. Then describe your project. I would suggest that you type it down somewhere where you can copy and paste so you don't time out of the process. So this, Karen already said, describe your project and how it's going to help you grow in some way. How you're going to share your experience. I'm not going to explain this because Karen already did. So you can, here's the budget. It could be just a Word document where it's just one line where it says, I'm going to just travel. And that's how it's going to, the money's going to be spent. We'd like to know if this is part of a bigger project and this is going to pay only for part of it. What happens if you don't get all the money somewhere else? Can you still do the project? Would like to know a little bit about you. You don't have to be a fiber artist. We just want to know a little bit about you. And you can, we are giving you the option of entering 5 images of your work, or if you are a performer, you can upload a video here. You can also put just your your social media or website link here so we can see that what your interests are. Then make sure you read everything and submit. You're gonna receive an email. So if you don't receive that email, it means the process was not complete. Make sure that after you submit, there's no errors there. And that's it.
That's it. Easy peasy.
Yes. I mean,
You can all have it done by tomorrow.
we don't want long explanations. We just want to give you the money.
Right, right.
And,
So-
and there's 2 grants. So I challenge each of you, if you do an application process for yourself, forward it to a friend and try and pull them up too, because we want to reach out to as many people as possible. And you know, this could really make a difference in an artist practice.
One thing we haven't said is that you don't need to be a member to apply for the grant, but if you are selected, it's a requirement that you are a member.
So I think we are just looking if anybody has any questions. Nobody. Oh, there's one.
Being a member, that was one of my questions, because I'm currently not a member, but I think you just answered it. So if I was to get it, then you would ask me to become a member, which makes sense. Okay. And so the amount is $500, or that's the maximum amount? The amount is 500. Okay. Okay, everything else was pretty well explained. Thank you.
Yes.
I didn't read the application beforehand, which I didn't think to do, but the part about outreach into the community, I hadn't thought of that, and I wonder if you could speak a little bit more to some of the ideas you all were thinking of about community outreach.
It could be, oh, sorry, go ahead,
No,
Karen.
well, I was just going to say, I think it's a way for the Fiber Arts Guild community to access whatever it is you are doing. So if you, let's say you want to go to a conference, then, you know, you might just, you know, submit some photographs and, you know, a little journal of, you know, this is what I saw, this is who I met, this is what I did. It's just, it's not meant to be cumbersome in any way, but it's a way for us to sort of see how you used the money and share ideas with other people for how they might. If you're going to work on a piece and you want the money for materials, for example, you might then pop into one of the show and shares and explain, you know, I use this money and I bought this really expensive fabric, which I've been coveting for, you know, a decade, because I just didn't have the money to buy it myself. And, you know, this is it. And isn't it glorious? Okay,
So we're talking about the fiber arts community. I was thinking like the Pittsburgh community, like Pittsburgh metropolitan area.
No,
But you're thinking of our fiber arts community.
the fiber arts community. I mean, if you come up with a way to, you know, tap into the Pittsburgh community, all the better, because the fiber arts community is part of the Pittsburgh community, but we're really thinking about the fiber community.
Okay, that seems much more doable to me.
You could also say you were looking for a place to show your work and you found, I don't know, 10 places. You can share that list of resources you found, or places to buy materials, or I don't know, share with the guild in principle what you learned through this process.
Okay, got it.
Carol?
So you would like that feedback to come back to the Pittsburgh Guild specifically, is that correct? Even though that might not be my community, it will be in the end because I'll become a member, but right now I'm in Michigan. I'm a member of the Michigan Guild of Weaving and so on. And so I could give them a presentation, but you're looking for something to give back to your community, correct? Okay,
We are, but you know, the beauty of Zoom is
Right.
that you know, there can be some program even though you're in Michigan,
right.
you know,
Right.
or something that goes into the newsletter about your project and what you did. So beyond having to spend $20 to become a member of the Fiber Arts Guild, or however much, there are ways, you know, there are ways to navigate it without you having to physically be here.
It
Okay.
could also be telling us about your experience, because let's say you are doing an experimental project and it didn't work. Okay, you learned something even if it didn't work, and we'd like to know what worked, what didn't. And so just learn from your growth.
Yeah.
The guild can learn from that.
Any other questions? All right.
So can I ask, are there any people on this call who are not in the guild? Anybody new to the guild? I'm besides the Michigan. So 3 people, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. Well, I hope that you apply because I think, I mean, the whole point of this grant is to build a community, but also we learn from the community. So your perspective makes it sort of I will do sort of a pun for fiber. It sort of weaves in new ideas. We need that.
All right, I think we can close. I would just say if you have questions, just there is a contact person, Katie, I think it's you.
It's me. And
It's
if I don't
Katie.
know, I will resource it out and get an answer. I promise. I won't leave you dangling.
Yeah, if you have any problems, Katie's your girl, not me.